Check, check, check. Again, this is virtually evidentiary hearing, Harkins Lane Solar L number one LLC, job number 955, excuse me, PSC number 9775, and job 113703. It's 10/28/2025, and 10 a.m. It'll start in about 10 minutes. So I'm just going to leave everything on. Okay. Okay. Okay, check. Check. Number 4 now. This is what? Job number 11703, excuse me. 10/28/25. And it's PSC hearing 775.
Morning, everybody.
Morning, Your Honor.
Morning, Your Honor.
Morning.
All hear me okay?
Yes.
Morning.
Morning, Doug. Can we go on the record?
Yes, can you hear me okay?
Yes, I sure can. Thank you. Good morning, everybody. Today is Tuesday, October 28th. It's about 10 a.m. We're here today for an evidentiary hearing in case number 9775, which is captioned Harkins Lane Solar One LLC's application for a certificate of public convenience and necessity to construct a 5 megawatt solar photovoltaic generating facility in Cecil County, Maryland. My name is Christine Burke. I'm a public utility law judge with the Maryland Public Service Commission, and I've been assigned this case. Can I please have the appearances of counsel, beginning with the applicant, and if you could please give me which witnesses you have present today as well.
Good morning, Your Honor. My name is Colleen Collins. I'm an attorney with Gordon Feinblatt representing the applicant in this case. I'm joined by my colleague, Mr. David Bugelmans, and today we have witnesses Mr. Timothy Mills, Mr. Sean Brandt, and Mr. Charles Walker.
Thank you. And for the power plant research program?
Good morning, Your Honor. Assistant Attorney General Steve Tolson for PPMP. My witness is listed as Zachary Barthel, and just check the participants. He has the link. I sent it to him this morning. I do not see him on yet, and he should be joining. He may be having some problems with getting on, so I will send him separate notice to see if he needs assistance, but he will be available once we get him on.
Okay, great. Thank you. And for staff counsel?
Good morning, Your Honor. Jennifer Purvis, Assistant Staff Counsel, appearing on behalf of staff, and appearing with me today is staff witness Wasanu Waldakiros.
Good morning. Thank you. Also, I would note there is an intervener in this matter, Laura Moldridge. I did resend the Zoom link for her to participate this morning. I do not see her present here today. And I did not get any response. So with that, there was a notice of evidentiary hearing issued. I believe that was issued September 23rd. So we are going to proceed today. I did not hear anything from her requesting for a postponement. And I would note that did not see that she filed any testimony either. So we're going to begin today's hearing. It is, as far as I understand it, I understand the parties, the applicant is not contesting the proposed license conditions. However, as far as the stance of the hearing is that the intervener is not in agreement with the project. So we'll proceed as if it's a contested hearing. I do have questions for the witnesses as well. So with that, Ms. Collins, would you like to start with your first witness?
Yes, Your Honor. Would you like me to read in the exhibit list?
Yes, we can mark exhibits. Go ahead. I did get your proposed list.
And just to clarify that the first applicant exhibit, the certificate of publication for the pre-hearing conference, has already been read into evidence.
Correct.
Okay, so I'll continue with number 2. To be marked as applicant's exhibit number 2 is the applicant's environmental review document dated January 22nd, 2025, consisting of 58 pages under mail log number 315058. Applicant's Exhibit 3 is the appendices to the environmental review document filed on January 22nd, 2025, consisting of 951 pages under mail log number 315058. Applicant's Exhibit 4, applicant's supplemental information, was filed on March 5th, 2025, consisting of 51 pages under mail log number 316470. Applicant's Exhibit 5 is the applicant's response to PPRP's first data request, filed on April 11th, 2025, consisting of 52 pages under mail log number 317860. Applicant's Exhibit 6 is the direct testimony of Mr. Charles Walker, filed on May 23rd, 2025, consisting of 18 pages under mail log number 319119. Applicant's Exhibit 7 is the direct testimony of Mr. Timothy Mills, filed on May 23rd, 2025, consisting of 20 pages under mail log number 319119. Applicant's Exhibit 8 is a certificate of publication for the initial public comment hearing, filed on May 27th, 2025, consisting of 14 pages under mail log number 319140. Applicant's Exhibit 9 is a supplemental direct testimony of Mr. Charles Walker, filed on August 8th, 2025, consisting of 12 pages under mail log number 321159. Applicant's Exhibit 10 is applicant's emergency service location letter, which was filed on August 13th, 2025, consisting of 1 page under mail log number 321387. Applicant's Exhibit 11 is the applicant's revised site plan, which was filed on August 19th, 2025, consisting of 7 pages under mail log number 321688. Applicant's Exhibit 12 is the certificate of publication for the second public comment hearing, filed on September 17th, 2025, consisting of 13 pages under mail log number 322492. And applicant's Exhibit 13 is applicant's settlement status update, filed on September 18th, 2025, consisting of 1 page under mail log number 322513. An applicant's Exhibit 14 is the signed affidavit, filed on September 22nd, 2025, consisting of 7 pages under mail log number 322591. And Your Honor, I apologize. On the list that I sent you, they were slightly misnumbered. I missed number 5. But with that, I would request that Exhibits 2 through 14 be admitted to the record. Thank you.
Okay, is there any objection to the applicant's exhibits being moved into the record?
No objection, Your Honor.
Okay, and Mr. Tolson, I think you were muted,
No
but
objection.
no, okay, thanks.
Yeah.
Applicants Exhibit 2 through 14 will be entered into the record. Right. Let me start with your first witness, Ms. Collins. I have questions for both Mr. Mills and Mr. Walker.
Your Honor, will I do the attestations for Mr. Mills and Mr. Walker at the same time, or would you like to start with one?
Let's start one at a time. And I just note that with regard to sections of the ERD that are being sponsored, some are co-sponsored. So if you're unable to answer my question, either witness Mills or witness Walker, just indicate and I'll follow up with the other person. But let's start one at a time. If we could start with Mr. Mills, please.
Mr. Mills is available. I'm sorry, Mr. Mills, I hereby attest that the witness is alone in a separate room and not in communication with any other individual. And Your Honor, with that, Mr. Mills is available.
Okay, could you please raise your right hand? Do you swear or affirm under the penalties of perjury that the testimony you're about to give is the truth?
Yes.
Okay. Mr. Mills, on page 11 of the environmental review document, there's some information about the medium voltage line that's going to be buried underground before interconnection to avoid visual impacts. It states that the interconnection will connect underground to an overhead feeder line through 4 power utility poles, which will be screened with proposed landscape buffer. A minimum setback of 100 feet from lot lines and 300 feet from roads is required. And according to the ERD, it says the project is designed to have approximately 548 feet from the closest non-participating residence on the northeastern side of the property. My question is the closest property the Hessen property? And I don't know, I believe it's Hessian.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. And there were some concerns raised from this neighbor at the public comment hearing about the location of the utility poles. Was there anything changed or updated in the concept plan to address the neighbor's concerns?
Not to my knowledge, Your Honor. I was not at the previous hearing. My wife, we just had our fourth child, but Sean Brandt did participate in that hearing. But I do not believe that there were changes to our concept plan.
So how close are the utility poles to the Hessen residence?
The utility poles are along the road in the dedicated utility easement area. I do not know the exact amount of feet it is to the Hessen home, but I could absolutely follow up with you with that answer.
And in the ERD, it states that those will be buffered. Can you describe the buffering?
We were proposing a vegetative buffer for the utility poles.
Okay, so what type of buffering, since utility poles are generally pretty tall, what type of buffering is the applicant proposing?
To my knowledge, we're just proposing the vegetative buffer. We understand that putting in vegetation to cover the whole pole is very difficult to accomplish. But we're doing our best to try to just minimize visual impacts to those neighbors with some vegetative screening.
How tall are the existing trees on the eastern portion of the parcel between the Hessen residence and the utility poles?
Your Honor, I do not know off the top of my head the height of the existing vegetation, but I could follow up after I review our Alta topo survey, which did a tree height analysis as well. I just do not know off the top of my head.
And I would have the same question with regard to the existing vegetation that's on the west and southwestern portion of the project site.
Your Honor, I do not know the height of those trees off the top of my head, but I can absolutely follow up with those details once I review the Alta survey tree height.
Okay. On page 7 of staff's direct, it states that there's required upgrades that include extending the 34 kilovolt service approximately 1 mile to the project's point of interconnection. Is the interconnection that to the existing pole on Redalia Road?
Yes, those poles are currently single phase poles, so they will be upgraded to the Delmarva 34.5 kV voltage, which is the same voltage as the substation, which has existing 34 kV running out of there.
Okay. The extension of the service line of about 1 mile, is that 1 mile extension above or below ground?
It's above ground.
And is that within a DPL easement?
Yes.
And with respect to the 4 utility poles that are proposed, those will be new poles, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, but the existing pole where the point of connection is on Redalia Road, that is a pole that is already there, correct?
That's correct. Yep.
Okay. With regard to construction of the project in the ERD on page 50, it states that the project design will include laydown areas with enough space for a construction trailer, employee parking, and storage for equipment and supplies. and that proposed construction traffic will utilize the proposed access driveway from Harkin Lanes for ingress and egress. Can you clarify that vehicles will not be parking on Harkin's Lane?
Yes, that's correct. We'll have the vehicles park on our landowner subject parcel.
So construction will not involve going on any other property other than the project parcel.
That is correct.
And what will work hours be? I think you said 7 to 5 was stated in the ERD for construction. Will that be weekdays, or will it also include weekends?
It's my understanding it will be weekdays. I can follow up to see if they are also proposing weekends, but it's my understanding it's just weekdays.
There were some other comments at the hearing about notice. Would the applicant be able to provide notice to neighbors when construction is going to begin?
Yes.
How will the applicant address school bus scheduling during the construction period?
I know we're working with our engineers to come up with a just a construction plan. We will coordinate with our construction vendor to coordinate, review those school bus schedules to make sure there's no interference with the school bus routes.
Will there be a plan that's submitted to the county for approval for coordination of transportation during construction?
Yes, that's something that we can absolutely do. I do need to review the existing plan to see if that's already included, if it's something that we could add.
With respect to dust during construction, there were some concerns. Can you explain what measures will be taken to reduce dust during construction?
Sure. So during construction, some dust can be generated from the vehicles, from the construction activities. We'll work with our construction vendors to minimize dust through various measures. Some of those measures might be bringing on water onto the site to minimize dust in the air. This is something that I would defer to our engineers and construction vendors on the particular details. Typically, I have seen just water brought onto sites to be able to spray to minimize dust, especially if it's dry conditions.
During operation of the project, how often will on-site maintenance occur?
During the construction of the project on site,
during project
during operation. During operation, it's remotely monitored. So if there is an issue on the site, we should know right away, and we'll send a technician out to the site for maintenance. Maintenance is on really an as-need basis, but I anticipate that they will go out to the site a handful of times throughout the year to check the various equipment, make sure everything is operating up to standard.
A handful of times, would that be monthly or quarterly?
That would be yearly.
Just once a year?
I would say likely quarterly. We really don't need to go onto the site all that often unless there is an actual issue because it's being remotely monitored. But there is some routine maintenance that might be needed onto the site for actual maintenance. But the vegetative maintenance, that is a little different. There'll be mowing involved a couple times throughout the year, just to make sure that the vegetation is not growing too tall and causing any issues with the actual project or shading the actual solar panels.
So there'll be two types of maintenance, is what you're saying?
Yes, just equipment maintenance, operation maintenance, and then actual like vegetative maintenance. So there might be some tree trimming, mowing, maybe spot treatment for weeds, things in those manners.
the lighting requirements for the project, I believe in the ERD, it stated that there would be no lighting for the project, but the applicant may require maintenance lights around the transformer and electrical equipment as needed. And that those lights would only be operational when minimal maintenance is required. What is maintenance lighting and how often would that be on?
Maintenance lighting would just be a light that is only turned on when they're servicing, let's say, one of the transformers or maybe some of the inverters on the site. But those lights would only turn on if it was, let's say, darker conditions and they need the extra light. But the solar panels don't produce electricity during the nighttime, so the system actually won't be operational at night. So I don't anticipate that lights will be needed really at all. It's more of just a backup measure if it's very dark conditions.
And just for maintenance?
Yes, just for maintenance.
So there's no regular lighting that's proposed to be installed?
No, there's no lighting.
Page 8 of staff's testimony noted that with respect to the DPL interconnection process, the applicant anticipated things to be finalized in early November. And at that point, the certificate of completion and permission to operate were still pending. Have there been any updates to the DPL interconnection process?
There is not.
In the ERD attachment M, there was, with regard to correspondence with the county, it stated that the parcel is currently encumbered by an agricultural preservation district, but that the property owner had filed a release request with the county after having fulfilled the minimum requirements for preservation. What is the status of that release request?
Yep, the status of the release, the county has released it out of the program. It's just being finalized and recorded that it has been taken out officially. So we're just waiting for that final documentation.
Okay. How much land was put into preservation as part of that request?
It's my understanding it was the whole parcel, but I would like to just double check that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Noted that the parcel is currently being used for agricultural purposes. Do you know what crops are being grown on that parcel?
It rotates between soybeans and corn. Last time I was on the site, they were growing soybeans.
Okay. Do you know whether or not that's being used for livestock or human consumption?
I'm not sure, Your Honor.
Okay. On page 18 of the ERD, with respect to soil conditions and soil quality testing, the ERD states that the project will comply with the requirements of the Cecil County Code section 162.13c. It's one little I through three little I. But that it seems that in the PAR, PPRP's project assessment report, that in response to the county's request for soil testing, that the applicant stated it was not planning to conduct annual soil testing. Can you explain the discrepancy and whether or not the applicant is going to comply with the soil testing requirement?
Your Honor, if I could follow up on that answer and request, I would like to review the details a little bit further on the soil testing. I know Cecil County has very specific requirements, but happy to follow up on that.
Okay, and I can issue I can issue a DR for the ones that we go over today, keeping a list. The it also said that you in the ERD that you applicant was going to comply with all of those requirements, but it said, I believe, that section 1 prohibits little I prohibits solar facilities on class 1 soils, but there are 6 acres, I believe, of the limit of disturbance on class 1 soils. So I'm curious how the applicant would comply with that requirement if 6 acres is classified as class 1 soil.
Your Honor, this is another question. I would be happy to follow up with the data request.
And the last thing I would have with respect to the soil testing requirements, I believe PPRP in their direct testimony explained why PPRP was not recommending a license condition with respect to soil testing, and stated that there was information that would be needed in order to comply with the testing requirements, which Cecil County did not provide. Did the applicant request any of that information from the county?
I do not believe we did.
Other than the pre-application meeting with Cecil County, has there been any other communication with the county?
Yes, we have been in communication with the county about the stormwater erosion sedimentation concept plan, site plan, and about putting a portion of the site in a forest conservation easement. So there's been a number of just follow-up conversations relating those plans.
Respect to noise, Appendix K of the ERD, just want to clarify there on page 1, I believe, of Appendix K, it predicts a decibel level of 48.2 at the property line during operation of the facility. Then I believe on page 2, it says it will not exceed 60 decibels. Can you explain why there's 2 different numbers?
Your Honor, I am not 100% sure. I know the 40 decibel number that you reference is the noise that we've estimated at the property line. I'm not exactly sure where this 60 decibel reference came from, but that's something I'd be happy to look into.
And as well, with respect to the noise, it stated that the noise would not exceed 45 decibels at night, but then it stated there would be no operational noise at night.
There would be no operational noise at night just because the system would not be producing any electricity. So the inverters, the transformers, which generally create the noise, would not be operational.
Okay. I don't have any other questions for witness Mills. Are there questions in light of my questions?
No, Your Honor.
No questions, Your Honor, from staff.
Your Honor, would you like us to create that data request, or should we expect it to?
I will draft a data request and send it to
Thank you, Your Honor.
applicant. Yes.
Your Honor, this is Doug. Could Mr. Mills spell his first and last name for the record?
Yep, no problem. My first name is Timothy. It's Timothy. My last name is Mills, Mills.
Thank you.
No problem.
Okay, Ms. Collins, would you do the attestation for witness Walker, please?
Yes, Your Honor. I hereby attest that the witness is alone in a separate room and not in communication with any other individuals. And with that, Your Honor, Mr. Walker is available.
Mr. Walker, could you please raise your right hand? Do you swear or affirm under the penalties of perjury that the testimony you're about to give is the truth?
I do.
PPRP testified, I believe on page 32 of their testimony, that the total minimum bond amount for decommissioning would be $2,165,612, which was based on your supplemental testimony from August 8th and the county's ordinance, which requires 200% of the decommissioning costs be posted in a bond prior to construction. Do you agree with that minimum amount that was calculated by PPRP?
Sorry, could you read the minimum amount one more time?
Certainly. $2,165,612.
Yes, I agree with that amount.
Okay. And that amount would still be subject to review and approval by Cecil County. Is that your understanding?
Yes, that is my understanding.
There were some comments at the public comment hearing and concerns about decommissioning. How will panels and components be disposed of?
Yes, for our estimate, we assumed a conservative dollar amount, assuming that the panels would be transported to a approved recycling facility. The one we identified that is open and available right now is in Tennessee. So included all of that cost to haul the panels to that facility, as well as a cost per panel of $15 to recycle them there. And that is, a very conservative estimate. It is possible that, a newer facility opens up, the, recycling market becomes more lucrative, and could even include salvage value if that market became more lucrative. But this is assuming the most conservative analysis.
So it's the applicant's intention to recycle as much of the facility as possible, including panels.
Yes.
What efforts will the applicant make to return the land to its original condition?
Yes, so we'll remove all of the improvements, all of the impervious surfaces, equipment pads, gravel access road, and do some minor grading as needed to kind of flatten out any ruts or I guess undulations in the topography that was created by the decommissioning efforts.
And on page 3 of the decommissioning plan, it indicates that the project will be surrounded by an 8-foot high security fence. I believe that environmental review document discusses a 7-foot security fence. Can you explain the discrepancy?
Yes, I'm looking at the plans as well right now. Yeah, I believe we are proposing a 7-foot high security fence. So that's just an error in the written decommissioning plan.
And it's my understanding as well is that to be a wildlife suitable fence for the passage of small wildlife.
Yes, it'll have a 6-inch gap at the bottom for wildlife passage.
That concludes my questions for witness Walker. Are there any questions in light of my questions?
No, Your Honor.
No
Your
questions,
Honor.
Your Honor.
Charles, could you spell your first and last name for the record?
Yes, I can. It's Charles, Charles, Walker, Walker.
Thank you.
Thank you. And I will follow up with a bench data request in writing with a due date of November 7th. The Mr. Tolson, would you please go through your exhibits?
Yes, Your Honor. PPRP has 6 exhibits. They were all filed on September the 5th, 2025, all of them under mail log number 322133. PPRP Exhibit 1 for identification is the direct testimony of Zachary Barthel. PPRP Exhibit 2 for identification is the secretarial letter signed by the secretaries of the Department of Natural Resources and the Maryland Department of the Environment. PPRP Exhibit 3 is the initial recommended license conditions. PPRP Exhibit 4 for identification is the project assessment report, the PAR. PPRP Exhibit 5 is Appendix A to the PAR, which consists of selected responses to PPRP's data requests. And PPRP Exhibit 6 for identification is Appendix B to the PAR, which is reference sections of PPRP's website. With that, I would move for admission of PPRP Exhibits 1 through 6 into the record.
Is there any objection?
No objection, Your Honor.
Objection, Your Honor.
PPRP's Exhibits 1 through 6 will be marked and entered into the record.
Your Honor, if you have questions,
I
was
do.
going to say, if you have questions, I can do the attestation. I hereby attest that Mr. Barthel is alone in a separate room and not accompanied by anybody else or in contact with anyone else.
Mr. Barthel, could you please raise your right hand? Do you swear or affirm under the penalties of perjury that the testimony you're about to give is the truth?
I do.
Okay, and I'm going to do this right, Doug. So could you please say and spell your name for the record?
Yes, and my apologies for being late, Your Honor. My name is Zachary, Zachary. Last name Barthel, B as in boy, Arthel.
Thank you. Mr. Barthel, the parcel for the proposed project, is that part of the Maryland Agricultural Land Preservation Foundation?
No,
Okay, is that program a voluntary program?
it is.
Okay, and so a property owner would have to voluntarily try to put land into that, correct?
That is correct.
Okay. And are property owners compensated for putting land into that foundation?
To the best of my understanding, that is true, yes.
There were some comments made at the public comment hearing about property values. And included in written comments, there were 2 articles that were submitted. The first article that someone attached was an examination of impacts of solar farms on real estate values from a study based in Wisconsin. Have you had an opportunity to review that article?
I have.
Okay, does that article change PPR's opinion about the impacts of solar on property values?
No, it does not.
Okay. In addition to that article, there was another article cited as a reference source. Then that article, I believe, was also included on page 25 of the project assessment report. Does that mean that PPRP read and considered the findings in that article in preparation of the project assessment report?
Yes.
Okay. There was another article that was quoted from a study done in June of 2025 by Virginia Tech and was published in the Proceedings of the National Academy of Sciences. Has PPRP reviewed that study?
That one has not been reviewed. It's relatively recent, and to the best of my knowledge, I and PPRP have not reviewed that.
Okay. And what are PPRP's conclusions regarding the impacts on property values in this case?
So the impacts from various studies that PPRP have reviewed are varied, and they show, because the studies are relatively nascent, there is not consistent results to lead PPRP to any definitive results or any definitive statements on property values, other than the information is evolving. It reports do show that there are some variable values in terms of properties going down. We also cite on our through our appendix and in our supplemental PAR information on the DNR PPRP website, some reports that show that property values might actually increase due to this relatively new nature and evolving information from a relatively recent studies. We don't have a definitive statement other than to acknowledge that it is a fluid and an evolving situation.
Does PPRP believe in this case that there will be any negative impacts to property values from the project?
No, Your Honor.
With respect to wildlife, there was mention at the public comment hearings about nesting eagles on the property. Does PPRP address any issues related to rare, threatened, endangered species in your proposed recommended licensing conditions?
No existing rare, threatened, or endangered species were identified through U.S. Fish and Wildlife or DNR's Wildlife Heritage Service. However, our licensing conditions do stipulate that if any of those creatures are encountered, that coordination would need to occur with those respective services in terms of developing a plan on addressing their status on the parcel.
So it would require that construction cease.
Correct.
Until it was addressed, correct?
That's correct.
Is PPRP aware of any potential negative impacts to birds in general from solar photovoltaic panels?
No, Your Honor.
With respect to noise and your assessment of predicted noise at both the property line and to the nearest residence, does PPRP believe that there will be negative noise impacts from the project at either the property line or at the residence?
No, Your Honor. I believe we've addressed noise issues and our position, which is that they would not be a concern in the respectively in the PAR, our testimony and in the RLCs.
And so PPRP doesn't believe that any noise mitigation measures are necessary. Is that correct?
Correct, Your Honor.
The neighboring property asserted in a public comment that her residence is 1,393 feet away from the project's central inverter, and it would create significant noise. Is this conclusion supported by PPRP's analysis of noise impacts?
No, Your Honor.
Are there any concerns about noise impacts to grazing livestock that is in the neighboring property?
No, Your Honor.
with respect to the soil testing requirement, if on page 8 of your testimony, you give the reasons why PPRP has not recommended a soil testing license condition, and explain that the zoning ordinance doesn't provide a reference for that information or parameters to be tested, quantity of samples to be collected, certain information and criteria that you think would be necessary in order to have such a licensing condition. If this information was provided by the county, would PPRP recommend a licensing condition?
No, and I'll paraphrase and can reference if necessary, Your Honor, the rest of that particular piece of testimony, which goes on to state that the nature of this type of construction does not deviate from most types of general construction, and more importantly, the difficulty, even if parameters were provided by the county of assessing on an annual basis a return and categorizing what a return to original or pre-construction status would be for the soil would be difficult, if not impossible.
Does PPRP have any evidence that the panels release toxins into the soils or contaminate groundwater?
No, Your Honor.
Okay. On page 26 of your direct, you testified that during peak construction period, the project was estimated to create approximately 51 jobs, with 26 full-time design, management, and construction jobs working remotely or on the project site. However, in the PAR, there was a different finding on page 13 that cited around 65 jobs with an estimated 41. Can you clarify which one is correct or explain the discrepancy?
So I will explain the best I can is that to the best of my recollection, the second lesser number is more accurate. There was an updated JEDI report, which is a tool commonly used to assess how many jobs would be created in this kind of endeavor. And that was updated. So that would be the reasoning for the difference in the numbers.
Okay, so your testimony, your direct testimony is the updated number.
Correct.
Okay. Does PPRP believe the applicant has provided adequate vegetative screening to mitigate visual impacts to the Heston neighboring property?
It is, Your Honor. Yes. I would also state that in the state's coordinated analysis, as well as personally visiting the site myself, through that in the analysis, the site is very well screened on all sides, and in fact, the only portion that's going to be buffered is on the northern part, and I believe the Hessian property, if my pronunciation is correct, on the east side has an existing dense screen, which the project is not proposing to modify at all. So PPRP would agree that there is sufficient visual mitigation and buffers in place as proposed by the project.
Just to clarify, on page 10 of your direct regarding co-location, at this point, there is no concern that there is a co-location issue. Is that correct?
Correct.
And with respect to the co-location condition in the recommended licensing conditions, I believe it's number 14, there is language that the project owner shall file information in the PSC docket for case number 9714. Is that a typo?
Let me go to that RLC really quick. I'm sorry if you could reference the what you're looking at again.
Sure. It's page 4, condition number 14. And it's I believe the second part of that condition.
My guess is that is indeed a typo. I just want to make sure I'm looking at the exact. Let me see. I'm sorry, you said 9714?
Is the case that's referenced there.
Yeah, let me do a search on that real quick. It is indeed there. It is indeed a typo. Yes, you're wrong.
Okay. With respect to condition number 30 and the licensing conditions, which requires a landscape surety be posted with Cecil County prior to construction so that any plantings or the buffers maintained around the project. How is the amount of bond calculated, and is the bond held by Cecil County?
Your Honor, I'd have to follow up with you on that. I'm not sure as to the calculation. I don't want to muse, so
Okay.
not sure.
Okay. I think that covers my questions. Are there any questions in light of my questions?
No questions.
No, Your Honor.
Okay. Are there any other issues that, staff, I'm sorry. Wow.
Thank you, Your Honor. Which, so let's see. Staff asked that the direct testimony and exhibits of Wasanu Waltakiros, pre-filed on September 5th, 2025, as mail log number 322164, consisting of 12 pages of narrative text and 6 exhibits, be marked as Staff Exhibit 1 and moved into the record. At this time, staff filed an errata to that testimony on September 9th, 2025 as mail log number 322221, which consisted of the same direct testimony with the addition of an inadvertently omitted separate document constituting Exhibit WAW-3 to that direct testimony. Staff made no changes or corrections in that errata to the text of the testimony itself. Your Honor, would you prefer that we mark that errata now and move it into the record, or should I ask witness Waltakiros about that to provide a foundation for that?
Yes, we can ask.
Go ahead.
Okay. Testify.
And witness Waltakiros was having some trouble with his connection, so he came down to my office and is sitting here with me.
Okay.
I hope that is all right, Your Honor, so I could give the attestation. So I would say that I hereby attest that the witness is alone with me in a separate room and is not in communication with any other individual. Is that
okay? And I can see both of you, so I will accept the attestation. Could you please raise your right hand? Do you swear or affirm under the penalties of perjury that the testimony you're about to give is the truth?
Yes, I do.
Okay. Please go ahead, Ms. Purvis.
Thank you. Mr. Waltakiros, could you please state your position at the Public Service Commission?
My name is Wasan Waltakiros.
He's going to have to speak up. I can hardly
Yeah,
hear you.
I can't hear him either.
My
He's
name
also going to have
is
to give me
Wasan
first and
Waltakiros,
last name
and I
spelling.
work as a staff engineer in the Maryland Public Service Commission in the
Okay.
engineering division.
And
Did
Mr. Waltakiros, did you hear that?
I did. Did you, Doug?
It's very hard to hear him. I'm not sure he's putting out that much.
Okay, let's repeat that one more time, Mr. Waltakiros.
Can you get closer to the microphone?
Let's see here.
Yes, I can.
I'm afraid to move anything. There we go.
My name is Wasan Waltakiros, and I work as staff engineer in the Maryland Public Service Commission Engineering Division.
Please give me a spelling, first and last name.
Wasanu, W-O-S-S-A-N-U, Waldekiros, W-E-L-D-E-K-I-R-O-S.
Thank you.
And Mr. Wildekiros, do you have before you a document entitled Direct Testimony and Exhibits of Wasanu Wildekiros, pre-filed on September 5th, 2025, as mail log number 322164, consisting of 12 pages of narrative text and 6 exhibits?
Yes, I do have.
Was that document prepared by you or under your direction and supervision?
Yes,
Do you have any corrections or changes to your testimony at this time?
yes.
Could you please explain those changes or corrections?
My direct testimony, as originally filed, inadvertently omitted a separate document constituting Exhibit WAW-3 to my direct testimony. As a result, I filed an errata to that direct testimony on September 9, 2025 as mail log number 322221, which consisted of the same direct testimony with the addition of the inadvertently omitted separate document constituting Exhibit WAW-3.
And with that, to the best of your knowledge, does that testimony with the document added in the errata remain true and correct today?
Yes,
Do you adopt the testimony before you with the change specified in the errata as your testimony in this proceeding?
yes, I do.
Your Honor, I ask that now that the errata version of the direct testimony and exhibits of Wasanu Wildekiros, pre-filed on September 9th, 2025, as mail log number 322221, which consists of the original direct testimony with the addition of the inadvertently omitted separate document constituting Exhibit WAW-3, be marked for identification as Staff Exhibit 2 and moved into the record at this time.
Is there any objection to staff's exhibits?
No objection, Your Honor.
No, Your Honor.
Okay, staff's exhibits 1 and 2 will both be entered into the record.
Thank you, Your Honor. And staff's witness is now available for questions.
I do not have any questions for staff's witness. Are there any other questions from the other parties?
No, Your Honor.
No, Your Honor.
Okay, and with that, I do have a list of some data requests that I will put in writing and issue to the parties. I have one for PPRP. I have several for the applicant. They will have a return date of November the 7th. And so the record will remain open. Are there any other issues that need to be addressed at this time?
No, Your Honor.
No, Your Honor.
Okay, then we can conclude today's hearing. Thank you, everybody, and we can go off the record.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Honor.